U.S. President Donald Trump has taken his America First message to the world's elite, telling a summit of business and political leaders that the United States will no longer turn a blind eye to what it describes as unfair trade practices.
President Donald Trump, the first sitting U.S. president in 18 years to address the annual conclave of the rich and powerful at the Swiss ski resort of Davos, closed the summit with a speech in which he declared the United States open for business.
The world is witnessing the resurgence of a strong and prosperous America. I'm here to deliver a simple message. There has never been a better time to hire, to build, to invest, and to grow in the United States. America is open for business, and we are competitive once again.
He says he would always promote America first, as he expects other world leaders to do on behalf of their own countries, but he swiftly turned to a theme of demanding tougher enforcement of trade rules, accusing unidentified countries of unfair practices, including stealing intellectual property and providing state aid to industry.
We cannot have free and open trade if some countries exploit the system at the expense of others. We support free trade, but it needs to be fair and it needs to be reciprocal, because in the end, unfair trade undermines us all. The United States will no longer turn a blind eye to unfair economic practices, including massive intellectual property theft, industrial subsidies, and pervasive state-led economic planning. These and other predatory behaviors are distorting the global markets and harming businesses and workers not just in the U.S. but around the globe. We will enforce our trade laws and restore integrity to our trading system. Only by insisting on fair and reciprocal trade can we create a system that works not just for the U.S., but for all nations.
Afterwards, the audience at the World Economic Forum booed President Trump after he called the media nasty and fake.
And as a businessman, I was always treated really well by the press. You know, the numbers speak and things happen, but I've always really had a very good press. And it wasn't until I became a politician that I realized how nasty, how mean, how vicious, and how fake the press can be as the cameras start going off in the background.
Earlier, President Trump met with Rwandan President Paul Kagame to discuss trade and security on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Kagame, who has recently been appointed chairman of the African Union, says he's looking forward to working with the United States while carrying out the implementation of reforms to make the Union more effective.
Well, it was a great honor to meet the President of the United States, President Donald Trump, and we had good discussions on those two levels, the bilateral relations between Rwanda and the United States. Rwanda has benefited tremendously from the support of the United States in many areas where it is in peace support operations we have carried out in different parts of the world. We had the United States on our side supporting us. We have supported our economy in trade, investment, with tourists from the United States, visitors coming to Rwanda. And President, I wanted to thank you for the support we have received from you personally and the administration.
In return, Mr. Trump asked President Kagame to pass on his warmest regards to other AU leaders. The meeting comes weeks after Mr. Trump reportedly used a derogatory word to describe African nations, earning him a stiff rebuke from the AU. Mr. Trump has denied using the alleged phrase.
Meanwhile, Musa Faki Mohammed, chair of the AU Commission, says the African continent cannot keep silent about U.S. President Donald Trump's repulsive rhetoric about African countries and Haiti. Speaking to African foreign ministers at the opening of the 32nd Ordinary Session of the Executive Council in preparation for the 30th AU Summit, Mr. Mohammed condemned President Trump's comments about African countries earlier this month.
Vos assises se tiennent At the time of this session, Africa has yet to digest the statement issued by the President of the United States, who has profoundly shocked us with a message conveying contempt, hate and desire to marginalize and exclude Africans. These remarks followed a host of others on Jerusalem and the reduction of contributions to the budget for global peacekeeping, leading one to think the multilateralism is in the midst of a grave danger. The continent will not be silent on the subject.
Grave crise. Le continent africain ne saurait se taire à ce sujet.